Good afternoon and welcome to Libertarian Counterpoint Podcast. We're coming at you on October 23rd, rolling right up around the corner on the election. So we're right in the heat of things, but before we get into any of that, I want to introduce my panel to you. Up in the upper left-hand corner, we have Leon the Word Brathwaite, his last word in Liberty, retired engineer in the state of California. And up in our right-hand corner, we have Tim Everett, our Screaming Eagle of Freedom. He is a pilot in the state of California. And my name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So let's jump right into the election. So the debates happened last night. It'll be the final debate going into the election. A lot of votes already cast, so it's hard to say how much impact it'll have. But, it's a much different debate, I think most people would agree, than the first debate, and certainly different than that excuse for a debate they had called dueling town halls, which happened about a week ago or so.
Yes.
So anyways, you guys have any thoughts you wanted to jump in right away on what you saw in the debate?
Boy, I'll give you a thought. I didn't watch the debates. I'm not the debate watcher. Yeah. Not because I'm not really masochistic. I probably have the things that I torture myself with, but the debates just hasn't been one of them. But I heard the strategy that when I think it was Tom Woods that mentioned if Trump was really smart, he would just stop this interrupting of Biden and let him speak, because the guy he can't string two coherent sentences together, and about 20-30 seconds into whatever train of thought he has, he goes off the wagon. I mean, just off the reservation totally, and into complete nonsense that no one can understand. So the suggestion was that he just stop interrupting and just let Biden talk all he wants, because it won't be long before he'll just look extremely unpresidential. Not that Trump looks all that presidential himself, but and then I heard,
Jim, you have a pretty high standard for presidents.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Exactly. Well, I'd like him to have an IQ above 100 at least, But the thing that I heard about this is that it's like, oh, come to Libertarian Counterpoint to find out what's really going on. And so what I heard is that he did let Biden speak. Now, so if either of you have watched the debate from last night, did Biden get a chance to slur his words and wax philosophic? Yes or no?
Well, I watched the entire debate, as you probably would have guessed. Okay.
Good.
And now Joe Biden did last very decent. I would say decent for the first hour of the debate. The debate was an hour and a half or so.
Ooh, wow.
Donald Trump did let him speak. I mean, they did have the mute button, which I think they might have used one or two times on Trump. I don't think they used it on Biden at any time. But by the last part of the debate, you can see all the cognitive decline of Joe Biden that we've been talking about. At one time during the debate, he obviously lost his train of thought. He was making some issue about something about foreign policy. I think he could not remember China, but he was able to pick it up and correct himself. But you can see he did lose his train of thought. The other thing he did about the 1 hour mark, he spent about 15 seconds looking down at his watch. I don't know if you guys remember, in 1992, George H.W. Bush did the very same thing, and it probably helped to cost him the election. And Joe Biden did that last night.
Well, it was probably
I didn't
I didn't quite catch your question, Jason.
Oh no! I said he probably crossed over his nap time. So
Crossed
his nap time. Probably so. Probably so.
That, okay, I'm an Apple guy. Okay, so my Apple Watch has this new feature, and it lets you know when it's time to go to bed. And so it plays a little lullaby, the beginning of a lullaby, da 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 da. Anyway, it kind of does the first two bars it plays, and then it's your cue that, hey, bedtime in 45 minutes. So that could have been it. I mean, just he was probably caught up listening to the lullaby song on his Apple Watch.
Well, then he did. Then maybe he did go to half asleep in the last half of the debate, because he made some incredible statements in the last half. One of them he said was that he was going to this. He didn't use this word, but that's what it means. He's going to destroy the oil and gas industry. I mean, that is a little bit personal to me. Okay. I mean, I wasn't going to vote for him, but now he have erased all doubts of my decision. Okay. Yeah. Because that is really personal to me. I used to work in that industry. I still have friends who work in that industry, and I don't know why he have this hatred of the oil and gas industry. So anybody who wanted me to even mildly consider voting for him, that it's a lost cause now where I'm concerned. But in the last 1/3 of that debate, Joe Biden was clearly tired, and he was clearly showing he was rambling quite a bit, a few times, rambling, not being as coherent as he was in the first 1 hour. The first 1 hour, I think he was standing up well against Trump, but after that, he just went downhill. And Trump was very quote unquote presidential. He didn't interrupt as much, and he did ask some difficult questions of Biden, which Biden did not answer. But he did for the most part stay within his time. Overall, I think it was a good debate. The moderator, I think, was the best of the moderators, even though many of her questions had the left wing tilt in it. But I think she did a good job overall. And but the debate was very good. I think there were a lot of issues discussed. I think it was a debate of substance. I liked the debate, but I think Biden, personally, and this is just me, I think Biden got crushed in that debate. I think so.
Yeah, I certainly feel like Trump did much better for himself in this debate. I've watched.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I've watched all three of them in more or less extents. But last night I watched pretty much the whole thing, and I did notice that Trump still did some things to hurt himself, but I think he helped himself more than he hurt himself. So some of the things Trump does, I mean, you just shake your head and why? But I guess we're so used to it, maybe we didn't notice some of those things. I mean, they were talking about foreign policy in North Korea, and then Trump starts glowing over how much the dictator there likes him. And I mean, why? Why are you doing this? He's saying how he doesn't like Obama. And I'm thinking, isn't that a good thing? I probably understand where he's coming from, that he's trying to have at least a dialogue with the guy, and that would make sense. But the way Trump puts these things, it's about how much the guy likes him, Yeah. God, I mean, so I mean, I was just like, so if I were on the Democrat side, I'd probably be putting that in the commercial.
Really. Yeah, but I'm talking about Obama. Joe Biden last night, and this might have been in the last half hour, he threw Obama under the bus, because they were asking him about immigration and the deportations and all that kind of stuff and things like that. First, he said it was a mistake. Okay, fine. Okay, you want to own up to your mistake. That's fine. It was a mistake, but he claimed. But then he said, I was only vice president of the United States at the time, right? Meaning that all the big decisions were made by the president, which was Obama. So he just threw Obama under the bus, just like that.
I think he also said something to the effect of, this will be the Biden administration.
Right, exactly. Yes.
And I thought that was the whole selling point on Joe, is that he was Obama 0.05 or something. Not 2.0, but 0.05. Not quite.
And I mean, all politicians. Let's be clear here. All politicians just throw out the whoppers, the big lies every so often. Trump did it last night, I'm sure. But Biden threw out some lies that was unbelievable last night. I don't believe that he would try to pull these things. Like, for instance, he had said in the debate, I saw the debate, he was going to ban fracking, okay? Or he might have used the word eliminate, okay? But essentially ban. Trump raised that point last night. Biden said he never said that, which is, to me, is amazing. He also said no one lost their insurance because of Obamacare, which is an absolute fabulous lie. Even Obama have admitted it. And he said that last night too. I mean, sure, all of these people exaggerate. They all throw their lies for us to digest. But come on, please. I mean, we're not that stupid that we're not going to go check these things. This is unbelievable. So, I don't know. I think Biden got in trouble last night. I mean, I don't know how much impact it's going to have on the electorate, but I think he got himself in trouble last night. I really think so. And that comment about destroying the oil and gas industry, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, all of these places Ohio, all of these places that have oil and gas as one of their big industries, I think he just put them out of play. I think he really did. Anyway, that's my summary.
To be honest, though, I mean, when you talk about the dishonesty of Biden, I think in general the thrust of some of the stuff Trump was trying to get at was true, but he also had a lot of facts that were just way out there. I mean, they were just not even in the ballpark of reality, even though the overall point he was trying to make was true. Like when he started talking about immigration, and he talked about this catch and release, and he said that less than 1% of people show up for their immigration hearings. And that is not the number I've been hearing since the debate. It's the number I've been hearing is closer to at least 50%. It's a bad number, and it goes to the truth of what Trump's saying. But, when he starts throwing out these wild numbers that are just not really close to the actual numbers, it gives the Democrats a lot of hay to go after him for, just throwing up the fact check numbers, I guess, that don't match reality. So these are some of the things. And then he hurts himself too in the characterizations he makes on some of these things. As they finish that point on immigrants showing up for their hearings, he said, only the low IQ ones show up. And I just
well, that was pretty bad. I agree with you on that one.
It's probably the best of the ones that show up for their hearings. So I mean, you talk about so the way he does things, he's getting a serious issue. It needs to be said. But on the other hand, the way he does it, it's like he shoots one at the opposition and then he shoots one down in his own foot for good measure.
But on that point, Jason, about the percent of people who turn up for the hearings, I have read everywhere that I have read, the number is less than 5%, and I don't know if it's 1%, but I think it's less than 5%. I will check that, and I'll provide the correct number, okay, that I have been able to dig up. But I think the number is less than 5%, if you want the honest truth. I think so. I think once these people are released into the United States, they don't have any more contact. They try not to have any more contact with the immigration authorities. They try their very best.
Well, I think the ones that think they have a case are probably showing up. It's the ones that probably don't have much of a case that aren't showing up. So, but it would be interesting to hear that number, and hopefully by the next show, we'll find that out and be able to correct the record one way or the other on that.
Sure, absolutely.
These debates are a sordid satisfaction in a way, comfort for us libertarians who aren't real pro-government anyway, that these people at the top are vying for the top role in government are about as inept as any two people can get. And so it's like, we've been telling you this all along. You really don't want to have that much power given to the federal government.
Of course.
Look at Switzerland as an example of a small federalized government, and more power rested into the arms of the cantons, which are like states in Switzerland. So yeah, it's a tiny country. Again, it's really a bad example. Probably maybe there's better examples, but gee whiz, if you have so much power that you're getting all this, you have so much power that it's attracting the worst in society. And I'm not necessarily saying that you can't have good people vie for the position, but when I think about, okay, they had the only adult in the room at the time was Tulsi Gabbard and I keep mentioning her, so I'm a fanboy. Okay, maybe it's because she's the only woman that looks good in a white pantsuit on the stage there. It could be that, I don't know, but call me prejudiced for a pretty woman, but she's
no, Tim, no, I will call you very prejudiced.
Very, yeah, that's kind of like no and hell no.
Yes.
So but okay, why is it that someone like that doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell? And we're going to talk about why Joe Jorgensen also doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. And it's because they rigged this whole thing to favor these giants out there like Trump and Biden. These mental giants out there. I don't know. Anyway, but. Like I say, sordid satisfaction to see this play out is kind of what first hits me regarding these debates. It's like, we've been trying to tell you this. Us libertarians have been trying to tell the world this all along. It's like no one listens because, why? Well, first, because there's too much moneyed interest behind these people that they put up, and that's why a Tulsi Gabbard doesn't make it. It's why a Joe Jorgensen doesn't make it. There's no money behind them.
Aside from there being no money, it's also rigged. I mean, the two parties literally set the game up themselves, and Tulsi's not a favorite of her own party. She's a Russian asset.
Oh yeah. Oh
yes.
Yeah. Right. Because she doesn't want to go to these. Yeah. She'd been there twice, and she doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to send, the United States on these fool's errands in these Middle Eastern countries. Yeah. So therefore, it's like this nonsense. If you're against shutdowns for COVID, you're immediately you just want to kill people, right? Let's end the argument right there with a moronic statement. You just want to kill people because you're because the person saying that is a complete moron and a nitwit, and they need to just shut up.
But that was part of the debate last night. I mean, Trump essentially wanted to, if you have an empty spot at your table, it's because the guy standing next to me over here.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So it's when you don't have an argument, you just tell the other person that, they want to kill people. That's it. That's because I don't have an argument against you, so you're just a bad person. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
End of argument.
Aside too from the fact that the two major parties are setting it up, the criteria constantly changes. I remember Gary Johnson was having trouble, depending upon which poll you were looking at, he might have qualified. So what do? They just changed the standards.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a 15% standard now. You must be polling in some of the national polls before you could get in, or something like that.
Well, and you have to be listed in the poll in the first place. And if they don't list you in the poll, then surprise, surprise, Joe, you're not on the.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody ever heard about you.
But one of the things before we run out of time I wanted to get into was this gaslighting of the media. And one of the interesting things that happened in the debate last night was that Trump was finally able to break through on this Biden scandal that we had brought up in the last show. And essentially, there's an issue where, what Trump was being impeached for was essentially trying to influence the Ukrainian government to investigate Biden and I guess Biden's son on activities that they may have had going on in the Ukraine. And so the Democrats went after him for years on an impeachment scandal with this. Well, Biden had actually admitted pretty much to doing this in a think tank, on a foreign affairs think tank on television. He said, I told them they weren't going to get the money for foreign aid unless they fired this prosecutor who was looking into this company Burisma, and son of a, they fired him. Exactly. Right in the air, and people are all like, they're all laughing at it while he's saying it. I mean, this is kind of corruption, telling other countries how they need to adjudicate their justice system and go after corruption. But anyways, so he finally got some points in on that, and the recent laptop scandal with emails that seemed to confirm this whole thing. We don't know for sure yet how valid this all is, but it sounds more and more like it's going to be a major scandal going in. Did you guys have any thoughts on that?
I thought. Tim, if you want to go ahead, it's fine.
Just a little bit about the Facebook and Twitter and all those trying to censor the thing. I know it's a tiny bit off topic, but if you
I think it's right on topic because Trump was able to break through because they couldn't censor the debate, and yet they've been able to censor the story in the media. So I think you're right on topic, Tim.
Yes, it's true.
Well, I think the censor itself, though, caused the whole thing to come even more in focus, and like they often do. So I can't remember the numbers, but they spiked way up where people were exposed to the news about that more because the Facebook and Twitter tried to censor it. So the best thing, if you want to get something out into the minds of more people, is to have Facebook and Twitter try to censor it. It's going to be a boost for you, and that's what happened. I just don't know the numbers. Sorry.
Yeah.
By the way, we had a comment real quick from Robert DiMaduro, one of our past guests, and he was asking about the Hunter Biden partner who came forward to testify
yesterday.
On the commission. So he hasn't testified in front of a court yet, but he has given a statement to the media saying that yes, these emails are true, and I was one of these business partners, and yes, Joe Biden is the big guy as far as
exactly. But you notice one thing: despite everything that's going on, the Biden campaign has not disputed the authenticity of those emails as yet. They have not said it's fake. They have not said the computer was hacked. They not said it was planted by Russian. They have said it was planted by Russian disinformation or some kind of stuff like that. But the authenticity they have not challenged.
Yeah.
So there is something going on here. I just thought that Trump would have probably used the expression 10% for the big guy, that is in one of the emails. I thought Trump would have used it a little more, probably call Joe Biden the big guy a little more in the debate. But you are right, Jason. I think he broke through a lot more than the media have been dispensing this information, because both Facebook and Twitter have totally shut down all links to the story. And even though they are private companies and they can do whatever the hell they want, but still they are suppressing something to influence the outcome of this election. That is what they're doing. And I mean, it's not an atrocity, But there's nothing legally I think we can do about it because they are private company. I'm gonna shut up right now because I see
and we're getting right near the end of the show, but there's one real quick point I think it's too important to pass up here. But the media, a lot of the media arms have actively said they will not cover this story, or at least they're not
exactly
right now. I think NPR has made that statement, and some of the other media entities have made this statement. And the idea that they went after Russia, saying that Russia was trying to influence an election. Well, if the media is actively strategizing on what information they're going to give the public, and how are they any different than some other countries trying to influence the election? I mean, to me, it seems like how are they any worse, or how are they any better than Russian interference or Iranian interference or any of these other countries' interference? So it just
and quickly, don't forget, we got wall-to-wall coverage on the Steele dossier, which turned out to be total fake, total nonsense, and total garbage.
Yeah.
Well, to play devil's advocate, the media is claiming the information about the emails and such was fed to us from Russia as a disinformation campaign. Is their idea there, and they don't want to be a part of the disinformation campaign by informing the public about it. So
it's kind of disinformation, though, if they decide to, kind of what's true and what's not, and they're not going to tell us what. Yeah. So it's
okay. Lay your cards on the table. Name names. Oh.
We're way into the Knucklehead.
I have more to say on this, Jason, but I have to shut up because you're Knucklehead. Go ahead.
We'll go into an overtime session. But as far as for the wrap up of this episode, we always try and wrap up with something kind of funny that's happened in the media recently. And something funny that happened in the media was with our friends over at CNN. They apparently had a Zoom meeting going on where one of their legal correspondent, Jeffrey Toobin, decided he wanted to share some personal activity with his other guests.
Personal activity, okay.
So he didn't realize meeting, so he thought the camera was off or something. Talking about a hot mic, a sticky mic. I don't know. But the crazy thing was that what Stelter said when he described this. He said Jeffrey Toobin has been sidelined at a pivotal moment in the run-up to the presidential election. The reason he exposed himself during a Zoom call with the New York colleagues, and what he says was an accident. And it's just kind of funny that they're describing I've never had an accident like that one.
Honest officer, it was just an accident.
Yes, it's unbelievable that there we have a grown man pleasuring himself while he's trying to have a serious discussion with anybody else. I mean, Jeffrey Toobin is not a teenager. He's a man. He's probably about 60 right now, and he's pleasuring himself while we're having a Zoom meeting. Come on, and this is an accident.
Everyone, that's to be done in private now. Come on.
Talk about media gaslighting. If they describe this as an accident, I guess that's kind of like peaceful protesting. I don't know.
Yes, mostly peaceful protest.
Right. That's a good point, Jason. The people that are telling us that, the same people that are saying that the mostly peaceful protests when there's fire going and places burning down behind them, those same people are the ones that are calling this act an accidental.
An accident.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we've now run into the end of our show here. We're not going to, we promise we won't ever expose any of our guests to an accident on this show.
Oh, don't be so certain. Now, wait a minute, Jason. Don't want to spoil our potential audience members here. Now, here's what really should be said. You never know, but the more you watch this program, the more you may see something similar to what went on at CNN. So, and we may have accidents like that. You'll never know when they're going to happen, but you stay tuned and find out for sure.
Tim, I'll leave all the accidents to you then. But anyways, that's we've come to about the end of our show. So thank you for tuning in to the Libertarian Counterpoint podcast, and you can catch us on libertariancounterpoint.com and Facebook at libertariancounterpoint.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, we are not accident